And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
It's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket.
Welcome to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he. And we are back for another week, me and the panel. And thanks for joining us. If you're joining us, tuning in on LinkedIn, he's eating, LinkedIn, YouTube, as well as Facebook. We also stream on our Roku channel, Empower TV Network, as well as our Amazon Fire TV channel, Empower TV Network. And that is all through Parker Media LLC. Yeah. All right. We just got our LLC for Parker Media. So very excited about that as well. Good things happening with that. Another good thing that is happening is that I announced before that myself and some other partners that gotten together, created another Roku channel called Creative Entertainment Network. And what our endeavor is I'm not sure how many people have heard of Film Freeway, but if you're an actor, director, producer, you certainly have. Film Freeway is an online film festival that gives a lot of creatives the opportunity to be able to submit their films online to gain recognition through the different film festivals that are out there. And that's how a lot of their awards and accolades are done. Many filmmakers, what they'll normally do after they make a film is they'll submit to different film festivals, let it run that circuit. Some end up on Amazon Prime, Netflix. Some end up on YouTube. Some end up on Vimeo. Some are even pitched to bigger TV networks, and they may even be recast and rebranded as a new TV episode. So that's how a lot of episodes that actually end up on mainstream TV come to be. The concept is brought out by smaller filmmakers that put it on smaller screens, get some following behind it, and then the next thing you know, there they go. So my partners have decided to come up with our own film festival on Film Freeway, which we have our film festival there. And then what we'll do is that we will take the submissions and air the ones that are selected winners and air them on our 24-hour online channel on Roku. So take a quick look at this little promo here, and right after that will be a promo for tonight's episode of Hopeless Romantic that airs tonight at 9 p.m. on YouTube. If you haven't seen the series, please do. It is heating up. If you need to catch up, all of the episodes leading up to tonight's episode will be there. Watch them. It's not a very long series, so you can get caught up real quick, but it's something you definitely don't want to miss. So check out our CEM promotion, and then immediately after that, Hopeless Romantic.
Wow, you have a really nice home.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, I was expecting something a little different. Like more of a hood.
911, what's your emergency?
Oh, yeah, let me ask. You asked Google what neighborhood a black girl would live in it. It said the hood?
Thanks. I hear what happened the other night at the club. Nice place, Senga. I see.
Shut up, man! I didn't know you were going to touch one. What? I didn't think it'd be a problem. My bad. Whatever.
Big monster game.
My legs took their foot in it, Dad.
All right, yeah. So Hopeless Romantic airs tonight at 9 p.m. on YouTube. Check it out, check it out, check it out. I believe this is episode 7. So it's getting down to the season finale. 2 more episodes after this one. So very excited for the cast and the crew. Had a great time with that, and I think I'll be in the last episode, I do believe. So keep an eye out on that too. Well, let's, without further ado, say hello to our panel. We have Lori Parker. How you doing, Lori?
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday Eve.
Happy Friday Eve indeed. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know a little secret. Me and Lori are faking very, very badly because we both have been sick all week long. And probably an hour ago, we were laying in the bed. So to turn around and then act like we got a lot of energy, we really don't. But we're acting like it. We're high on medicine right now, and that's probably all we're high on. But we're bringing it as good as we can. So if you see a little dip in energy, it's just because, man, we've been recuperating all week. I started out with the cold, and I ended up giving it to her. So
The gift that keeps on giving.
yeah, I give it to her every time I get it. So
Yes, you do.
yeah,
Yes, you do.
that's a crazy thing. Mr. CJ Jones, how you doing, sir?
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Welcome back. And
Thank
last
you.
but certainly not least, the man, the myth, the legend, the one that brings all the ratings and all the viewers from all the women all over the world. The one that sit there and is normally called the waiter. The one that just, well, we're not going to go into that, but let's welcome Mr. Jermaine, the franchise. Parker, how you doing, sir?
Doing good.
Is this watermelon?
It is.
So you just had to play a stereotype on the show. Any Republican friends? You better hold your comments. Anyway.
I knew it.
It's a seasonal fruit. I'm just, I'm trying to do better than last week because I was drinking Crown and so I got my bottle of water.
Okay, so how was that measuring up to the Crowns and the
out.
cigars and stuff?
Nah, he missing one more ingredient.
What's that?
Fried chicken.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. You know what's funny?
What's that?
I was going down Independence the other day on Indian going into Indian Trail, and I'd never seen this before because this is a rare sighting. There was a Popeyes, Bojangles, and KFC all on the same block.
Bruh, you know what? As long as I've been taking that same route, I never put that together. Bro, I never put that together until you just
normally
said
doesn't happen, but they were lined up. I went,
yeah, but you know what? It does. It start out Popeyes, Bojangles,
yeah,
KFC,
yeah.
and then the Arby's is somewhere in between.
There's
there
Arby's
too.
right there, and a Taco
that's right.
Bell.
And Chick-fil-A is across the
And
street from the Bojangles.
and Cookouts on the other side of the street
And
too.
Cookout.
Yeah, you're right. But I sat there and looked at that. I said, "Man, we got all 3 major chicken joints.
However you
Right,
want your
lined
chicken,
up.
bro. We got you. We got
Lined
your
up.
chicken.
But where churches ain't over there.
Nah, man. Church is too hood.
I said,
Church is way too hood.
I said major chicken joints. I don't know if I can classify churches as a chicken joint. I can classify it as a joint, but have you ever seen them pieces of chicken from churches? Do you?
Bruh, they've been down through there.
Do you fully believe that that's really chicken?
Bruh, it's chicken like pieces.
I've not identified any pieces from churches that I can link up to a chicken and say that really came from a chicken. I'm not sure exactly if that's chicken.
Bruh, listen.
Of course, I'm not gonna lie. I've been to a lot of joints up in New York City, and I've seen some same things up there too, y'all. Any of my New York people, y'all know what I'm talking about. Crown,
Kennedy fried chicken.
That ain't chicken. That's not chicken. It looks like chicken, but that ain't chicken. Because chicken ain't shaped like that. Anyway, just saying. In school, they teach you your shapes. You got to know your shapes.
You got your drumstick, you got your wings, you got your bread.
I mean, they even tell you white meat, dark meat, all of it's dark, and you don't know what part of the chicken it came from. You looking at that thing now. When you hungry though, I'm gonna keep it real. You're hungry
now. When you're in a pinch,
you go ahead and beat it in. I mean, I get it. But after the fact, you think about it and be like, now what exactly piece of chicken was that? But anyway, just saying.
Mystery meat. That's what it is.
It's definitely
mystery meat, bro.
Definitely. All right, guys. So y'all doing good? Everybody's good. Nobody had any bad meat this week? Okay.
Nah.
All right. So let's talk about some things that are going on in the world. This past week, Congress actually passed a bill. I'm sorry, I don't want to say Congress. Let me just say the House of Representatives passed a bill that will put a cap on insulin at $35 a piece. It did receive bipartisan support. Now, the funny thing in Congress is for anything to constitute bipartisan support, you only need one person of the opposing party to agree. I have my own feelings about that really being considered bipartisan. Like they talk about the January 6th Select Committee being bipartisan because two of the members are Republicans, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. And they say, well, we're doing things in a bipartisan way. They always like to say a bipartisan way. And it's like two of them. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Two out of how many? Because do y'all know how many people are in the U.S. House of Representatives total?
Not right off the hand. Not right off.
It's how many, Jermaine?
574, 573?
No, close. So in the entire Congress,
isn't it like 800?
No, oh God, no. In the entire U.S. Congress, that's the House and the Senate. You have 100 senators, and you have 435 Congress people, House reps. So a total of 535.
535.
But in the right now, there's 5 vacancies. One died, so they're having a special election for Don Young in Alaska because there's like 40 people running in this special election, including I can see Alaska from my house, Sarah Palin.
Yes.
Devin Nunes resigned so that he could run Truth Social. That's not doing very well right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jeff Fortenberry resigned a couple weeks ago because he got convicted of some charges. He was a Republican. And then he had had another congressperson that died in Minnesota of COVID. And then you had another woman that resigned not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was Republican. So right now, there's 221 Democrats. There's 209 Republicans. The reason I bring that up is because I want you to understand that every Democrat voted for $35 insulin. Out of the 209 Republicans, 12 of them voted for $35 capped insulin. 12 of 209. So while they touted as a bipartisan bill that was going to the Senate, 12 Republicans voted for $35 capped insulin. Not really sure why the other 195 or 96 Congress people didn't vote for it. Maybe it was maybe $35 was too high. Maybe they wanted it to be 10. Who knows? I'm sure it had to be that because surely nobody would be against making sure that we cap insulin for diabetics because diabetes is something that hits so many different people. I know 2 people on this show alone. And that's crazy. And, even though I don't take actual insulin yet, and I just take the actual pills, but this is something that really affects a lot of families. When families right now are trying to figure out putting money, gas in the tank, trying to figure out groceries to buy with the inflation and things like that, this is a no-brainer. This is something that it shouldn't matter if you think that it's going to give Joe Biden any kind of a small political win. It shouldn't be about Joe Biden. It shouldn't even be about a Republican or a Democrat because the last time I checked, diabetes affects everybody of all political stripes. So to only see 12 people, so you mean to tell me that there's only 12 Republicans that districts are affected by diabetes, and the other 197 of them, not so much. Diabetes isn't that big of an issue in our district.
Yeah, right.
That really wouldn't help my constituents at all. That's why I always go back to saying, you know what, these people are not in power because of their constituents. They're empowered to be empowered.
Yeah,
that is the biggest thing
absolutely.
always. Because it's just ridiculous how something could be such a, and I'm gonna be honest. A lot of times you have to look in legislation because I know politicians are good for headlining $35 insulin, and then there's all this other stuff embedded in the bill that are called poison pills or pork. That people will say, well, I like the $35, but I don't like all this extra $2 million for a bridge in St. Louis and this project of feeding the dolphins and all this other stuff y'all threw into it. I get that. This was clean legislation. All it was $35 insulin. And because there's a Democrat at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, they said no. Now, luckily, because the majority in Congress is still Democrat, it did pass because every Democrat voted for it. And again, 12 Republicans voted for it. It does now go over to the Senate, where now the Senate will be able to craft a bill similar to it, only to see it burn in hell and not pass. And the reason being is that in the Senate, because of a simple thing called a filibuster, even if all 48 Democrats and the 2 independents that caucus with the Democrats vote for it, they would still need to bring over 10 Republicans that haven't lost their damn mind to jump on board of that. Can it happen? I don't know. Joe Manchin seems to think that he got some sane members in his party, the Republican Party, that will come over with the Democrats and vote for this. So let's see if Joe Manchin can actually do this. He hadn't been able to do it in any other way. It's going to be a really, really hard pull, but it's just crazy how something that is so easy to pass, they make it so hard every single time. What do you think about that?
I think it's just sad, honestly. I mean, we're talking medicine. Medicine. This is nobody going into office. This is about human beings. Normally, like you'd be catching like one of my little puns, I would like to say it didn't happen to the white kind of person, but it's not even that type of issue. So I mean, when it comes to stuff like that, you just shooting yourself in the foot, you know, America. You're shooting yourself in the foot, and it just looks bad. All, and like you said, all for the sake of you don't want for this president, whoever's seating in there, to take a little bit of credit of whatever they want to put on their presidential resume or whatever. It's just sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Jermaine, what do you think about that?
You know, eventually I'll run for a political position myself. And what you have to understand in politics, right, is that it's not about the medicine, it's about the message, and it's about power. And so a lot of those Republicans voted no, knowing that they were in a position for the bill to pass and for them to take credit for it later, where they could play both sides of the fence, where they could defend that they're still standing up to Joe Biden and his radical Democratic agenda or his radical liberal agenda. But they can also take credit for it like they did with a lot of Republicans who voted against stimulus checks and stuff, went back to their communities and touted the benefits of the program and stuff, even though they had voted against it. So when you see 12 people that go to it, you know, those people, what it says to me politically is that I'm not in a safe seat. And this one, I can't ride party lines. I have to think about myself, right? And what's going on in my district, because obviously I don't need to be campaigned on this. But for people, and that's what politics for a lot of people are, is there's some places that will never vote any other way. And so it doesn't matter what I do. Right now, that's the kind of the kind of climbing down in Florida that allows a Matt Gaetz, or in Georgia that allows a Taylor Green to sit in the seat and stuff, because that party, if you're in the party and you're dedicated to the party, you're going to win. And so you don't have to vote for your constituents. You just have to vote for whatever the party says. And as my brother said, it's just trying to take a victory away from a Democratic president, which is silly, because all they had to do to take the victory away is to be the first one to introduce the bill. And then they could have put the pressure on the Democrats to go against it, which they wouldn't have, right? And then they would have had to. And they say, "Hey, look, we're being bipartisan. There's better ways to play this game and stuff, right?"
Yeah,
and
it is.
And
play the game. We all win, and then if you want to sit there and use optics and branding, I mean, I don't get that from the party that brands everything the way that they want to. I can hear you. I can tell that they're branding. They can brand anything. So if you can brand anything, why not sit there and do it in a way that your constituents benefit, and you brand it however you want to? If you want to say we were the ones that came up with this, and I'm trying to figure out what is this feedback I'm getting. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna figure it out. I muted everybody, but I'm gonna bring you back on because it's not you guys. I don't know what the feedback is. I don't know if y'all can hear it or not. Look, clicking. Y'all hear that clicking?
I do hear clicking. I wasn't gonna say nothing.
I don't know what it is. I thought somebody was typing.
But the thing is with that is that, again, like I say, it's position and power and stuff like that, because they're trying to make statements and stuff. And for a party whose branding is "we're here for common people," they consistently go against that with their tax cuts for the rich, with voting against this bill, with when working Americans needed stimulus checks and they didn't want to do that. They just call it waste. And what's it going to help? Not being able to connect with everyday Americans and their situations and stuff. For a party that is wholly about, we're common white collar or blue collar Americans and stuff, they're doing a really bad branding job with their actions and stuff. They talk about it really well, but their actions are contradict the things that they espouse.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though, Jay. You're right, because I'm like, yeah, okay. Your mother says I hear it too. I don't know what it is.
I think it's your mic, Brian. It could be, because whenever you had elevated your voice just then, it started acting up a little more. But now it's doing it with me. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a mic. That's the thing. I got one in the computer, but I'm not using a
right
external mic. You got an external mic?
No, I don't.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
Let me see. Let me take off my headset. Let me see. Okay, guys, can you hear me?
Yep. Still doing it.
Still doing it. So I guess it don't matter, guys. I'm sorry.
Not you. Yeah, no, it's not you then. That's fine. No, we'll figure it out. I don't want the audience to get rattled by it. It's just, you hear those and you're in your thought, and then something will mess up.
Right, it does.
Like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's okay. So we'll figure out what it is. It's somebody. But it's not coming through your microphone because I muted everybody and it was still happening. So I don't know what it is. I even turned off one of my lights just to make sure I wasn't getting feedback from the light. There's literally something clicking.
Mm-hmm.
I can't understand what that is. Okay. That's just going to drive me crazy. Anyway. It's like a ghost.
It's an echo. It's a white noise type of response to every time we talk. It's
Laura, you're not typing?
We can move on.
Everybody put your hands up.
All right.
Put your hands up.
Yeah. Put your hands up. No, I was kidding. So anyway, so that's just to keep in mind that only 12 members of the House of Representatives, Republicans, decided to vote for that. Another thing that was passed in the House, not sure if you guys heard this, there was a bill called the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act. Oh, we lost Jermaine?
Yeah, but the echo is gone.
It was Jermaine. It might have been his internet or something, but you're right. It's totally gone. Anyway, okay, so maybe he'll try to dial back through and get a clear signal. There he is right there.
Yeah.
Let's try to bring him in and see if now, Jermaine, it was definitely you.
Huh?
It was you.
Nope, not me.
Oh, no. As soon as you went away, the sound went away.
It went away.
I refuse to claim or rebuke in the name of the.
Yeah, I think it may be your internet, because I think it just came back. Yep. It's him, right?
Well, I'm out of here. I don't have to take this.
It's all right. We'll deal with it because it's the franchise. If it was Lori, we'd kick her out in a heartbeat. Just like that. So, I mean, I don't know why she gave me that look like that. Like, I just can't just sit there and block her right out. Like, that's what I do.
Listen.
Okay, there she is. Anyway. So, Jermaine, I was saying that the Congress had passed the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, which did, again, get some bipartisan support. All but 2 Democrats in the House voted for it, and 2 Republicans voted for it. Surprisingly, Matt Gaetz was one of those Republicans. Well, maybe not surprisingly. So, again, it was bipartisan because 2 Republicans joined all but 2 Democrats on it. There were 2 Democrats that voted against it, too. But what it would do is decriminalize marijuana at the federal level. Expunge records for previous convictions for people with records. It's going to put a tax on the sale of cannabis products. The tax would begin at 5%, eventually going up to 8%, and then the funding would go towards job training, mentoring, substance abuse treatment, legal aid, reentry services, and youth recreation programs. Again, sounds like a slam dunk. Sounds like something that more and more people would be on. There are currently 37 states that legalize marijuana in some way whatsoever. There's 18 other states that have legalized it for recreational purposes. This is not 1980s. This is not Ronald and Nancy Reagan talking about just say no. Marijuana has been widely accepted across the country. The majority, if you take a poll of the majority of the people in the country, well over 70% of the people support this, but we can't get 70% of the Congress to support it. Where is the disconnect?
It's an ageism thing. Unfortunately, and Congress is amazing.
True.
Because I would surmise that the average age of someone in Congress is somewhere around 65 to 67.
Yeah.
And so we have members that are 80 years old. And quite honestly, there's no other profession out there where there's somebody who's 80 years old who you'd be like, yeah, this is the person that I need to listen to about what's going on and stuff. And not as an ageism thing, but it's a realistic kind of thing.
Connection.
So,
it's being connected, yeah.
Yeah, and so the disconnect is that the same people who we talk about, Nancy Reagan and the war on drugs, Joe Biden and the crime bill, same dude, right? From the 90s.
Facts.
So a lot of these guys have heard and believe they are stationary in their beliefs from 20, 30 years ago because that's what it was. And so they haven't got past that yet. And so until they get past it, it doesn't matter what their constituents because they're like great grandparents at this point. Like and back in my day, that's the devil's weed or whatever it's called and stuff. I'm sorry, I don't do drugs, but whatever euphemisms there are for marijuana stuff, they are still on that kind of stuff. And it's so funny in America because America, even in the 80s and stuff, has this thing going on, this duality about everything, right? And it's like marijuana and narcotics are bad, but prescription medication and it wasn't that we had a thing about drugs. It was certain drugs. Why is this drug better than that drug? Kind of thing. And the criminalization of marijuana was really based on racism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it there.
No, yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
It was easy to associate drug use with criminal activity and associate that with minority communities, and it was an easy way to arrest and incarcerate those people and stuff. And so it's not, because a lot of people now realize, as we've legalized it in a lot of states and stuff, that it's no worse than drinking alcohol.
Right.
It's never been any worse, and we've had the science for that for as long as we've had it in the country. We already knew that. It was just a tool that the government used in order to criminalize and punish a particular part of the community, for us to say, oh, well, I smell marijuana in this car, and therefore I get to investigate.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so
Absolutely.
And that's kind of the thing with America and stuff, because then they allow drug companies to hand out OxyContin, which now caused another wave of people losing their families and stuff like that, the bad stuff. But that was legalized drugs that got out of hand and stuff. And so America has always had this duality in everything that they do that says, oh, this is okay, but this isn't okay. And they're basically the same thing. And it's like, well, why this and why not that? Racism.
Yeah, that's the nutshell of it, bro.
Oh, in America,
that is the nutshell of it. And I can attest to it, right? And I can attest to it, especially on the law enforcement side, because I mean, even in '96, that's what they was teaching in the police academies. I went through two kinds of police academies, one in the sheriff's department, the other in the military, and even as a trainer, a field training officer, that was what I went by. So when I taught my juniors, whenever I was teaching them, probable cause, things what to look for, all that stuff was just based on, like you said, it was based on stereotypes and racism. And it was just any excuse and every excuse just to do everything that you just beautifully articulated.
Yeah, no, see that you're absolutely right. And I think what had happened for so long was there was a stigma attached to marijuana. Like, same thing. If you remember back in the 80s and 90s, there was a stigma attached to crack, but not so much for cocaine, because cocaine seemed to be the choice of
the white culture.
You're right.
White culture.
And crack was
black
the choice of more urban, as we'll say. And I'm sitting there thinking, but it's the same thing.
It is. It's the same thing.
It's the same drug. But the crack cocaine, well, they call it crack cocaine.
Right.
But the crack part of it, I guess, made it more urban. The cocaine of it, as we find out from Madison Cawthorn, that apparently if you're a Republican, you can do a bunch of key bumps and have orgies and it's okay.
It is.
But if it was crack, okay, now that's just too much.
My cocaine is different.
You guys are doing too much, I mean, I don't get it. I mean, that's like me sitting there saying, hey, what you doing drinking that Kool-Aid, but you sucking on a freeze pop? I don't know. Is it not the same thing?
Right.
It's just a different form of it.
Well, it's a difference between filet mignon and a flank.
Okay.
Okay. They're both steaks.
They're both steaks. Did it come off the same animal, sir?
Yeah, but they're not the same.
They're not the same.
Very different cuts. And then this is also leading toward where you have to, again, realize, going back to Congress and with the when you were talking about age, this is where you have to be able to vote in individuals that represent you and represent your ideas. I know that it is about that, getting these people out, because if we're trying to change the perception, we have to be able to move along with the times. Now, most of these individuals, if they're in their 80s, are going to probably die.
But see, here's the thing though, Lord, because I didn't really start getting into politics until I really started conversing with y'all two. And so like one of the things that I've always questioned is why it seems like there's an expiration or an age cap or whatever in every other department of the government except for the Senate. Like, please explain that to people like that's me, that's just now coming into politics and just not understanding. And for those of us who pretend like they know but don't have a clue.
So there's a thing called term limits. They don't exist.
Not
Right.
United
So how do they sneak that in there? Because that's why we can't get things moving.
Well, you're absolutely right. So term limits is basically a way of preserving the status quo. The Democrats yell at the Republicans yell at the Democrats. Each blames each side for not being able to move the needle and get things done. Each always tries to cast the other side as the opposition party and the reason that we can't progress, and why we need your money and your votes to continue to elect more people like us to get what it is that you want passed through legislation, except that when it's time to get things passed through legislation, it's not your voice we're listening to, it's the voices of your donor owners that you are listening to and you are emboldened to. Because they're the ones that pay to your campaign, and when they say jump, the only thing they want to hear you say is how
high, sir?
I think one of the things that you have to be careful about, or politically, is that is CJ's talking about, he didn't really get into politics until he started talking to you guys, is that there's an education gap out there for a lot of people who don't understand that Congress it's by design to act slowly. Right. It's by design because they thought that anything, because it's, people will tell you state rights are a thing, right? That were the founding fathers were well aware of and stuff. And so Congress wasn't meant to override state rights. They were not meant to act fastly because the federal government was, in a lot of people's minds, secondary to the rights of the states, right?
Right.
And so understanding that when people are telling you, oh, these guys are hanging it back and stuff, no, that's the way it was designed. They're lying to you basically and telling you that this ride is supposed to go 20 miles an hour when it was only designed to go 3. And understanding that fact and going, no, even as, and we've seen this, especially on the Democratic side, they're horrible. When they're in power, they can't get anything done. Actually, Republicans are probably and the ones running this thing designed at 3 miles an hour. They're trying to run at 15, and that's why they're breaking it. They're breaking the functions of Congress and just elected positions in general, state governments and stuff, trying to break these machines to make them run the way they want to run. That's not the way they were designed.
Well, not only that, though, Jermaine, you're absolutely right. But the other issue now is, in this day and age, there were 2 political parties that were centered around different ideologies. And you could basically have debate. You had all these different understood norms in Congress. And it is called the world's most deliberative body because of the fact that they deliberate more than they actually legislate.
Yes.
They talk about it. Let's vote to talk about it.
Yeah.
And lately they've even closed that down where they'll do cloture where they won't even have a debate to debate the issue. It's not even about whether you're going to actually do the issue. Like, for instance, when they wanted to talk about the Voting Rights Act and they wanted to at least open up a debate about what they should talk about, and they shut it down. They didn't want to debate the debate, which is kind of crazy. To begin with.
Yeah,
that's like me going to Lori and say, Lori, there's some things that we got to talk about, but first we should talk about it. We should talk about it.
So let's talk.
Yeah. And she go, no, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm like, you don't even want to talk about if we should talk about it? No.
No.
There you go. And there we have it.
But that's literally what they do. They pass votes. They go into committee and they say, okay, we as a committee, we agree with this. Now we're going to take it to the full body to see if they want to talk about it. And they go, nah, we're good. And it dies. It never goes anywhere. So the Senate is where everything in the Mitch McConnell era goes to die. I want to throw in a comment from Sarah Parker because she made a good point about them never dying. She says they have good insurance; they will never die.
Yeah, that was fun.
And Brad decided to jump in. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Brad.
That's right. Don't believe his ass, Lori.
I don't want to talk about it.
Anything?
I don't want to talk about it.
Is that a blanket statement, Brad? Just anything? Don't believe
it normally is.
It probably is, and that's some good advice, actually, Brad. I wouldn't believe me either.
Don't believe the hype.
Don't believe
No.
But yeah, so anyway, it is set to be that way. But what I was getting at is Brad laughing. But it was at some point it was two bodies that would come from two different opinionated sides. You had conservatism and you had more of your liberals. This was even before progressives that would basically fight about, which everybody kind of thought, okay, we want to do this and we want to do that. You have your way of looking at it. I have my way of looking at it. That's ideology.
Right.
Those are things that we can sit there and wrangle with each other.
Right.
But what's happened over the last 15, 20 years is it's not even ideology anymore. It is a lot of just extremists. And, you know, the thing that I hate is that people try to want to make sure that they don't seem like they're leaning one side or the other, and they both sides a lot of things.
Yeah.
And when I say extremism, I do mean that there are extremists probably on both sides, but that doesn't mean that one side don't lean a little bit more heavily than the other in the extreme category. Right. And what I mean by that is that with only 12 Republicans voting for the insulin bill, Jermaine is right. They're in districts that they can't win, not because of their ideology, but because there are primaries that are ran in their areas, and they can't get out of their primaries if they don't seem extreme enough. Once they get to the general election, they can be more moderate like they used to being. But the way things are right now, they have to contend with the nut jobs in their party, because what they're trying to say, what they're trying to justify is that, hey, if I don't hold these positions, they will elect somebody crazier than me. If you think I'm not doing anything, you think we're breaking it. If we keep electing Boeberts, Madison Cawthorns, Marjorie Taylor Greens, all the Paul Gosars, Louis Gomers, Matt Gateses, you're going to really see how crazy this can be.
Yeah, because those are your QAnon type followers, supporters,
and more, and you're right.
And more is coming.
Or running for office and bumping out people that actually have ideology. The problem was they elected a president who ran as a Republican that is not an ideologue. And that opened up the floodgates too for a lot of other non-ideologues to actually run for office. And people say, well, they're just coming in to shaking things up and they're going to take away the status quo. All that would be good, but you still need to be based in some kind of ideology. I might not agree with your ideology, but at least I know that you stand on something. You know, back in the old days, Republicans used to stand on family values and conservatism and all those types of things.
Right.
Now they're doing key bumps of cocaine and having orgies. According to our great representative from the state of North Carolina, Madison Cawthorn, who apparently, once he told that lie, it drew so much back ire of the Republican Party that finally Kevin McCarthy figured out he could speak. So I'm going right into that one because it was just such a funny story that our rep was on a podcast talking, and he's been caught lying a couple of times. So understand that none of us believe him, but it was the fact that he thought he was saying something I think he was trying to own the libs, but he forgot that he said in his statement, you know, I grew up, admiring these people. So we assume that he's not talking about Democrats. And then he proceeded to say that, you know, they were inviting him to orgies, and the ones that were fighting against drugs and stuff like that, you'd see him doing key bumps of cocaine. Now, listen, I only learned what a key bump of cocaine was after I heard Madison Cawthorn say a key bump of cocaine. I didn't know that was a thing. Now, if you've ever done cocaine, I'm sure when he said that, you were like, "Yeah, I know what a key bump is." I have no idea what a key bump is. I can tell you a key bump from any bump. But he said that with some authority. I'm not saying he's a user, but I'm saying he has been in the room.
He said it with emotion.
But now, to what you said earlier, Jermaine, most people in the Congress are between 65, 70 years old. So what you're really saying is you saw a bunch of old wrinkly people bumping uglies and doing bumps of cocaine in the Republican Party.
Picture that.
So
I don't want to picture that neither. It's like your mother, your grandma.
God.
Having swinger things.
Right?
The problem with this is that what you alluded to earlier. First of all, there are no longer two political parties. There's a party within the Republican Party, and even within the Democratic Party. Is the bands are so wide from left to right for each party and stuff. But you have these Matt Gaetz, Taylor Green, and obviously Hawthorne, who, by the way, is just a liar. The accident that he was in, the car accident that he was in that caused him to lose his leg, he told people that the driver of that vehicle, his friend, left him to die.
Yeah, put him out there, bro.
That guy out there pulled him to safety after the accident. And he uses it as a thing to say that, well, that guy tried to, he left me to die. And basically I had this story, and he uses that story a lot for his disability and stuff. He told people that accident is the reason that he didn't get into the service academy. I think it was the Naval Academy.
Yeah, and he was just flat out rejected, bro.
But it was rejected before the accident.
Exactly.
So disability had nothing to do with it.
And you don't think that someone have those receipts? That's the part that kills me.
Well,
No.
You don't think that someone down the line is gonna pull your receipts on you, bro?
No.
That's the problem, CJ. Is that everything you just said is easy to find if you really want to know.
Yeah.
The sad part is there's so many people out there. Whatever.
It's a Trump roller, right? It's the how many times was Trump done after this scandal, and he survived to flat out a lot of people. And so one of the things that Trump's really good at is whataboutism.
Yeah.
To deflect from the things he's doing, which draws a false equivalence between two things and tries to normalize one's behavior by pointing to something else. And so they do that a lot. But another thing that Trump's really good at that a lot, and the reason I bring this up is because the Republican candidates like Madison use these things. They've used the whataboutism and stuff. Also, when he was in college and stuff, dorm RAs had to tell young women to stay away from him.
Right.
He was credibly accused by a lot of women, Bill Cosby numbers of women accused him of sexual harassment or abuse and stuff, from simple trying to force kissing, touching, going up skirts, all kind of stuff. Like the dude, I mean, really, he should stand up for himself. But
wow.
but
We're out of here.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I would say it to his face, but my knees are bad. I can't get down that low.
Wow.
But the thing is, I got more. I got more because I don't respect him, right? I don't care.
We here all week.
Right.
We here all week, bro. We here all week.
This is a dude that beat up a tree.
Yes. Yes. That was the craziest thing, that he was beating up a tree, and then would also show the that he smoked a peach cobbler on the stove on fire.
Yeah. This is a guy who went to Germany and went to Hitler's vacation house. It was
and then took a picture, and then he was like this one with. I was just like,
yeah, it's like it lives up to the hype. Like he'd been wanting to go there. Nazi mutts.
Yes, and a lot of his programs are supported by at the Western Carolina College.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Bruh.
so just because when you got a wild dog and he eventually bites your hand, I don't understand what the surprise is. They're like, I can't believe he said that about us. He's been saying wild stuff for a long time.
Right,
Yeah,
for a hot minute,
very
yeah.
long time.
He really has. And, but the thing that it wasn't so much the surprising part that he lied. And it was so obvious because, again, none of us want to, even though Sarah Parker says a bump ain't ugly, 65, 70-year-olds bumping uglies is way ugly. But creating that and stirring that controversy up in your party is crazy because you've got Lauren Boebert, Paul Gosar at white nationalist events. You got Matt Gaetz being credibly accused of child sex trafficking. You got all these different things going on in your party, and you got Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about Nazis and brown coats and all that kind of stuff, and gazpacho, whatever the heck that was, and all these other things, and you will say absolutely nothing about that. But the minute dudes start laying down some lines of coke and some orgies, oh, now that's a bridge too far. Now all of a sudden he had a talking to Madison Cawthorn and told him he has lost my trust. But Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar are doing white nationalism. They didn't lose your trust?
No, that was different. No, that's different.
It was the orgies? The geriatric orgies?
Slow down, Mr. Parker. Slow down.
That's what you said.
Yeah, exactly.
What you said, the orgy.
All righty, all right.
Oh God! I mean, why? Because he sat there and pulled a Petey Wheat straw on y'all. Now we have the orgies and stuff. Yeah. Lori with the canes. You remember the cane and Petey Wheat straw? Okay. So now he brings up the orgies and the coke. Now that's a problem. But the racist stuff was okay. The anti-gay, anti-women, the abortion, the reverse projection with pedophilia, all that is okay. But oh no, we can't have 70-year-olds bumping uglies and doing bumps of key bumps of cocaine.
Well, I mean, it's probably too soon for this, but sometimes there are jokes that when they're pointed at other people are okay, but when it's like somebody that you're close to, sometimes you just got to smack somebody and tell them keep your name out their mouth.
Exactly.
Here we go again.
So Kevin McCarthy basically
reached
down low, slapped him, and said, "You keep my party out your mouth."
That's right.
I will.
That's what he said.
I will.
I will.
I will.
I like it. Sarah Parker says
for the rest of our natural born lives, bruh. All I'm saying is open season. Open season.
Oh yeah. Anytime I want to slap the shit out of somebody now, it's all good.
What was the comment about mama?
She said you bad, CJ. So yeah, he is. You should have already known that. I mean, maybe you're just stating the obvious, but CJ's always been bad. But
that's what it do.
I just thought that was funny. Another thing that I've really been thinking about, and I know it could be a touchy subject, but I'm just not understanding. What is socialism really?
Man.
Isn't when people talk about socialism, you think about Social Security, Medicare.
Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be a good thing, right?
You think about
because you think about someone
like
outside of yourself. You're looking
paying into your police department, your fire department through taxes. Isn't that socialism? I mean, what is socialism?
Well,
I guess it depends on how you trying to or what you're focusing on. Then it's either a good thing or a bad thing. To me, it's confusing. It is, because when I would hear people say it, they would say it with such a negative tone, but when I asked and when I looked it up, I'm like, this is what you want a community to do.
So
There he goes.
that is a great word, community. So what we're talking about, maybe communism, is more what the party is trying to talk about, where um, you sit there and everybody's equal and everybody's, they're thinking about Brit, they're thinking about the Soviet Union and the way that they ran their stuff. And when they say socialism, they're really speaking towards communism, where everybody's getting equal more portions because we're talking about fair share. But when we talk about socialism, a lot of social programs are just that. They're community programs, libraries. That's socialism. Like my brother said, utilities and stuff for our fire departments and our police and stuff. That's socialism. The fact that we take care of roads and schools are socialism. It's our social contract with each other that says that in this society there are certain things that we do as a community together for the greater benefit of the whole.
So let me ask you this. So then, is there such thing as global socialism?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
and I know it is because I'm particularly thinking about our efforts in Ukraine as we speak. Um, I have a hard time understanding. I know why, but I have a hard time understanding how it's sold that giving somebody food stamps is enabling people to not go out and get a job or to be dependent on the government.
Yeah.
How giving people disability that need disability or benefits that they need is socialism, yet we can take $800 million and send it over to Ukraine. And let me tell you what we just sent $800 million over for. Do y'all want to hear what we sent $800 million over for?
I'd love to.
Thank you. 800 Stingers, which are anti-aircraft systems, 2,000 Javelins, 1,000 light anti-armor weapons, 6,000 AT-4 anti-armor systems, 100 tactical unmanned aerial systems, drones, 100 grenade launchers, 5,000 rifles, 1,000 pistols, 400 machine guns, 400 shotguns, 20 million rounds of small arms ammunitions and grenade launcher and mortar rounds, 25,000 sets of body armor, 25,000 helmets, and we've also committed 3 patrol boats, 5 Mi-17 helicopters, 2,600 more Javelin anti-armor systems, 4 counter-mortar radar systems, more grenade launchers, more shotguns, and 70 high mobility multi-purpose wheel vehicles, communications, electronic software, satellite imagery analysis capability, and military medical equipment to support treatment and combat evacuation. All those things are absolutely applauded. Now, Jermaine, let me ask you this question.
Yes.
If we just gave Ukraine all of that, we damn sure didn't give them our last.
So, it's a tricky thing for the American government because basically America runs on credit. And so what we basically said is that we had a credit card with some more money on it, and we're going to use that credit card. So 2 things for me about this whole Ukraine thing is that, number one, had we done a better job in Afghanistan, we could have just transferred all that stuff that was sitting over Afghanistan to Ukraine. And so, not a good look for the Biden administration. And so I want to be equal in my bashing when I bash people because I don't. My politicians aren't heroes to me. They have a job to do, and that was not the best job with the assessment on Afghanistan and stuff. So we lost a lot of equipment, right? Even though we did a great humanitarian job to pull the people out, and we pulled some equipment out, we didn't get everything right.
Right.
So there's, at the very least, there's body armor and drones and stuff. There were small stuff that might have been left behind. I don't know exactly what was left behind, but I'm just saying, you can't build something up for almost 20 years and then walk away in a couple of weeks and take everything. But anyway, and the other thing is that who got impeached for withholding aid to Ukraine? So what's funny is that they want to talk about the weakness of the Biden administration, and that's what led to the invasion of Ukraine and stuff. And we don't want to point the finger at Donald Trump, who crippled Ukraine by denying them these resources and stuff prior to the invasion, which made them a better target for Putin and Russia. The basic thing is that we've got money for wars. And if you know Tupac, you can finish out the rest of it, right?
Can't feed the poor.
We can't feed the poor. And so we can obviously, like that, the money we give to other countries, when people talk about reparations, it's not that much money. It's less than that.
It's not. Or when we're talking about $35 insulin, or when we're talking about $15 minimum wage, when we're talking about child tax credits every month that we let expire, when we're talking about forgiving student loan debt.
Yep.
What we've sent to Ukraine, we could have forgiven all the student loans.
Yeah. It's not. And so now there is a difference, though. There's a difference between somebody under siege from an outside state actor, right, like Russia, and them being at war and stuff. There's a difference between that aid and aid at home when we're talking about taking.
Why is that a difference? Why is it easier to take care of Ukrainians? Which, I'm a globalist, so I believe that you should go in and help because it's an international community. But how do you sit there and focus that outward?
But because it's war and it's atrocity and it's shocking.
But that's like me sitting there.
We have atrocities here at the house.
But that's like me sitting there mowing other people's grass, painting other people's houses, cleaning up their yards, and mine look like shit.
Exactly.
So every illness is important to the person that has it, right? But when you step back and look at like somebody who's a diabetic versus somebody who has cancer and stuff, you go, man, we need cancer research, and we're getting that, right? And diabetic research, well, diabetes is a slow killer, right? And so homelessness, joblessness in America, those are slow killers. These things happening in Ukraine are like cancer. They're fast-moving killers. People are dying in large numbers violently, right? And so it is easier to say these people need immediate help and we need to help them right now. This problem over here, we don't know. And because the thing is, it's easy to be divisive when things are complicated. It's not very complicated when somebody's being attacked, whether you view them as a direct ally, as a part, not necessarily a NATO partner, but as an ally and stuff. It's easy to go, I need to help my friend. If somebody on the panel was having a house broken into and they called up and said, hey man, I need you to come over here and help out, there's somebody breaking into the house. You would be like, I don't know, man. There's other stuff going on in my house and stuff. I got a leaky faucet and stuff that I need to get to. You would understand the importance and urgency of that phone call, and you would react.
Well,
okay.
I'm not trying to put one over the other. My point is, why not do both? Take care of yourself, because how can you really take care of others if you don't take care of yourself? If I want to be a good neighbor to somebody and I don't take care of myself, I'm going to eventually break down trying to help somebody else.
I'm gonna let you have it, CJ, but let me just make this real quick comment. The people in America who are in power have taken care of themselves. They're just fine. We're not talking about those people. Those people are making the decisions fast.
That's the point. That's the point. They're fine. That's the point. Go ahead, CJ.
No, I mean that was beautiful. I was gonna say, because as you was talking, Jermaine, I was like, okay, so that sounds more or less like triage, like everybody is hurt, but we got to take care of the critical first. So I see that, but at the same time, I also was seeing what Brian was saying as well.
Well, so before there was a war, we still weren't doing it.
Yes, I see the point, and I was just about to say that. So I know what the answer, the question is that. So what about before then? What about before then and stuff? One of the things about this country is that we're easily moved from subject to subject to subject because it's just the way that we're entertained now.
Yeah, man, we're like a goldfish when it comes to that.
We
the most popular
politicize
TikToks
feeding.
are only 7 seconds.
We politicize feeding hungry children in America, but
do.
if they're dying in Africa and everywhere else, we are all ready to jump over. Even Congress will run over to Israel and want to put up an Iron Dome to defend the Israelis from the Palestinians.
That's been happening for thousands of years.
But we're not defending kids on the streets of New Orleans, on the streets of San Francisco, on the streets of Chicago.
Oh no, absolutely not. Because
where's the Iron Dome for them?
Well, because we blame the parents in these situations. Their parents should have either not brought them into the world; they couldn't take care of them. Even though most Republicans believe that if a woman gets pregnant, it's not her choice whether she gets to birth a baby. But it's her fault because of Puritan values, which they don't have because they're the first ones to show up with a mistress that had an abortion. But they want to say things like, well, that woman shouldn't be having sex. They want to go back to, Christian values, which I'm not complaining against Christian values, but I'm just saying you can't force your stuff on everybody. Everybody doesn't believe the same stuff. And so you can't say, well, the only time that a woman and a man should lay together is when they're married. And and so that's the crux of the family values is that for them, if you were a proper family unit together, you'd be able to take care of your kids and there wouldn't be so much homelessness. Neglecting the fact that the two people laying together could be homeless. Or, as a realtor in this market and stuff, if you don't have like $60,000, I'm not sure you can live inside the city limits anymore.
You can't. Believe me, you can't.
You can't bid on a house anymore. And so when we talk about affordability and stuff and the American dream, which home ownership is part of the American dreams because it allows you to do things like retire by selling your house and paying off your debts and stuff like that, or maybe going using that equity in your home and paying for your kids' education, which leads them to be able to go to law school and clerk on every level of the law stratus, and maybe nonpartisan bodies get elected to several courts, even the District Court of D.C. and stuff, that allows you one day to be a justice on the Supreme Court.
And Jermaine, you and you led right into it, and I definitely wanted to acknowledge that. The next show, though, I do want to even go into a little bit more of where you were leading at the footstep of, and the question next week. So I'm gonna give y'all a whole week to think about it.
Okay.
Where does Christian values? What part should Christian values play in politics? And we're gonna go a whole lot of places with that because between abortion, pedophilia, LGBTQIA rights, and everything else.
Now,
I'm seeing a lot of cross. It might have to be a series, but I'm seeing a lot of crossover into what should be a separation of church and state. And I'm gonna leave it at that before I go even more into it.
Right.
But as Lori just put up on the Chiron, we definitely want to give a shout out to the very first African-American Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Jackson Brown, who was confirmed today 53-47 by the Senate. Congratulations,
notorious
Justice
KGB.
The notorious
53-47.
53-47. CJ, at one point we didn't know if it was going to come down to 50-50, and the first African-American vice president was going to have to break the tie to bring in the first African-American Supreme Court justice.
Hey, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is your faith to you?
Right. Lindsey Graham and his, anyway. He's a clown. He's just
Never mind.
But yeah, so she was voted in because, and you know what was so sickening is that when they were doing the hearing to talk about whether they were going to vote about her, a lot of them went around and said she's got excellent credentials, she's a great person, she's a great jurist. Tim Scott said all these flattering things about her. This will be a historic thing and everything else. And then he ends by saying, but I'm not going to be able to support this.
That's what you call talking out both sides of your mouth.
No, this called being an uncle, you know what, and tap dancing for your daddy.
A sambo. Now that is the definition of a sambo.
Hey,
And
look.
if you don't know what a
but
Sambo
he
is,
wasn't
just
the
Google.
only one, but he just fell in line with the rest of the
Mhm.
party. And the reason is, it's all calculated political moves that, hey, if we vote for her, it's going to be used against us in a primary. And I need everybody. It's the same reason they haven't turned on Donald Trump.
Yep.
It's when they ask them pointed questions about Donald Trump, they flip flop. They in their seats, they sitting there. Man, I saw Cornyn the other day when they asked him a flat out question about, hey, should Trump have really said that Vladimir Putin was a genius and this and that after you've seen everything he did? And he's like, well, Vladimir Putin's a thug and he's this and he's that. Yeah, but do you think that was a good idea for Trump to have, said that? Well, I don't even really know if that's the question that should be asked.
Yeah.
But she's the one asking the question. He wouldn't answer the question because he was so afraid that his daddy would sit there and slap him or make him come down to Mar-a-Lago and get on both knees and do what they do.
Hey, Jermaine, what did they
do their orgies and keep up the cocaine?
Hey, Jermaine, what was that saying that we have in the military whenever we're doing like a multiple choice question? Whenever you don't know the answer, just see your way out of it.
See your way out of it.
That's exactly what happened, Brian. That's exactly. You don't know which way to go. Just see your way out of it.
He was bobbing and weaving so good. I think he could have made it 3 rounds with Ali. I mean, he was woo, But yes, congratulations to Ketanji Brown Jackson for sure. But I definitely want to get into it next week about that because the hypocrisy, the double standards, and everything else, and a lot of it is it religious? Is it religious?
Questions.
Oh my God, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Wow.
So I know we got to get ready to go. So final thoughts, Lori, take it away.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Oh,
sorry, I just feeling stuffy. Sorry.
This segment has been brought to you by Daytime Cold and Flu Relief.
There it is.
It ain't name brand, but it still works. Damn it, it does. I promise. Go to your local Dollar General and support them. Anyway.
Well, I guess my last final thought is just going on for your vote counts. Get these jokers out of here because they're ridiculous.
Well, Lori, I got one other thing. Sarah Parker put in here, and I neglected to read it. Could y'all do a GoFund me to pay my light bill?
Yeah, she wants to start the GoFundMe. This one, she does.
How about this? Turn off all your lights.
Oh God!
Anyway, CJ, final thoughts.
Final thought. My final thought is for you, my brother. Clearly, you're not trying to live very long because you keep messing with the very women that's gonna see to it that they gonna cash out. That's all I'm gonna say. They gonna cash out on you, bro.
I've had a good 37 years, CJ, so I'm okay.
It was a good run. It was a good run.
It was a good 37. 38 may or may not come. Who knows?
Yeah, but no, I would say, okay, on the flip side of this, real fast, I'm a big fan of Dr. Richie, and and I follow his show a lot, and I was kind of hoping that we was gonna talk a little bit about the lynching bill.
Let's definitely get into that next week.
And so I was looking forward to chopping that up and everything, and you got the perfect platform for it. So
absolutely, we definitely get into that too. Hey, all right, franchise, what you got?
Really, just I follow my sister and say have a good weekend, take care of each other. We talk about a lot of different things on the show every week and stuff, and I keep bringing it back to the same stuff. This country does not live up to the things that it espouses that it's about. And as the sister says, your vote matters and stuff. The reason that we can celebrate our new justice today is because of voting stuff. Because quite honestly, if the voting hadn't gone the way it did, we'd have never had this moment. So it's important. The educational gap that I talked about earlier, if you're not in politics, you're like, I just don't know what's going on. And but there's so many things like this show and other resources that can kind of give you that knowledge and stuff. So reach out for that. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
My final thought is more of a personal one. I just found out just the other day that lost a really, really dynamic individual, Mr. Jerry Adams, to cancer. And when that came to me, that hit me hard. Jerry, big guy with a big personality, and it just really, really just drives home. Live your life. Love those around you. Don't spend time just getting into petty arguments and things like that, because life, guys, is so short. Just appreciate the time and the people that you have in your life. Don't worry about the stuff that is inconsequential. We're going to miss you, Jerry. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Bianca, Elvis, Miss Ruby, everybody else in the Adams family. So with that said, this has been another week of Head to Head. Thank you for joining. We look forward to seeing y'all next week. Y'all take care.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the